it was just strange because I remember growing up, like I had been playing sports and this head injury is past. I'm like around 14. I'm in high school playing a bunch of sports, doing the things normal. But every time I tried to do these fast movements, like half my body started almost like a mini stroke. Like it would go numb and it would go tingly and I couldn't really do anything. I'd have to move it back, get it back. I was having all these issues with movement.
Did they diagnose you with anything?
They just kept saying I had concussions and you're post-traumatic brain injury, traumatic brain injury, all this type of stuff. And then, long story short is like, I remember being depressed, never had any substances, laying in my bed, just staring out in these woods that I had ridden my bike through there with my brothers. We explored that whole place growing up. And not until I was older did it start dawning on me. And I started remembering like a lot of the pieces where it makes more sense. But, long story short, I'm sitting in my bed and I'm staring out that window and I'm like just looking over these trees, depressed, like wondering if I'm ever going to be normal again.
This is at 14?
Yeah. Will this shit just go away? Like, am I going to be able to not have to deal with this bullshit? And then out of nowhere, I just see these lights and this thing come and land in the woods. And I just remember sitting up in my bed. And then next thing I know, I just remember waking up the next morning.
All right.
And I always questioned, like, did that really happen? Was it from something else? But then I never had that issue ever again. Like I've never had half my body never went numb. I've never had that tingliness. In fact, like when I've had brain scans and stuff, they're like, we show no signs of past traumatic head trauma. So it's like,
but there was signs before in the scans.
Yeah. When I was younger with the CAT scans and stuff, or the MRIs that I went and stuff, and they'd see, oh yeah, you got concussed, or you have this, it's pretty bad. But that's why so forever it kept getting followed, or traumatic brain injury, till I challenged it, and then I found out it wasn't.
So just to be straight, you're convinced that you had these very traumatic brain injuries, and then one night when you were 14 years old, you saw some lights, woke up the next day, and from then on you were healed.
Yeah, I never had any of those issues.
What were you gonna say, McClay?
I was just back to normal.
Well, I was gonna say I want to talk about what you saw.
Exactly. Yeah. Me too. Can you describe it more specifically than lights? Maybe the colors. Maybe did you see a craft?
So to me, it was just like a weird. It was almost like just a round, like it kind of started out here and rounded out, and there was lights all around the edges of it, and then there was lights coming from the bottom of it as well. And so, it came in more like, almost like what you kind of would see on some of the sci-fi shows, where it was less like where it came in and just came down. And one of the things that never dawned on me for a while until I got older and was watching Ancient Aliens and some of these other shows that came out, but it was where we rode our bikes. There's a trail all the way to Waterville, another town over. People did snowmobiling.
That's where my grandparents grew up.
In Waterville, Maine? Mm-hmm. Oh, shit, dude. That's like right next door to where I grew up. Yeah. that's that whole area. And there's a lot of weird UFO and alien stuff out there. I always had the weird feeling growing up as a kid riding my bike through the woods that there was something else sitting in the woods, and it wasn't just an animal, or it wasn't.
So there's other people
shit in those
reporting
woods.
Sightings.
Oh yeah, all over that whole state. There's a lot, because it's just thick woods. It's like 85% forest, 85+% forest and bog. And so it's like,
and what?
And bog. No, it's a bog state for sure. But
we might need to go to Maine.
Yeah.
Do a travel cast to Maine. It's one of those things though. So what I was getting at is there's this trail, and as we drove through, there's this perfect circle, and nothing grew past a certain height in the middle. And as I started watching all these Ancient Alien things, I'm like, I've been to a spot like that where I grew up, where I rode my bike, and so I could remember, and like I had no idea and they're like, yeah, nothing will usually grow past this certain point, and nothing
like
ever
that farm
did.
Shit, like UFOs, yeah.
Well, no, not necessarily like
like where it would have landed,
where it landed, yeah.
But then after that, it was these bushes never grew past a certain point. Nobody came to cut them. Nobody came to fuck with them. They just never grew past that point. And then there was a perfect circle.
So that's where you think it would land.
And then there was one direction this way to Waterville, and one direction towards back to where we lived, and all of our house trails and stuff like that, and then put that perfect circle around it. And I was just like, and we would ride our bikes all through there all the time, right? And it never dawned on us at all. And dawned on me until I got older and started watching these other shows and other people talking about that. And then I was like, I've been to a spot like that. And then I just remembered like riding my bike through that area. So I feel like that's the area where it kind of came down. But it, to me, like that, I don't want to say I didn't see any traditional from what I can remember. I don't see any traditional like UFOs, like, oh, it was a saucer shape. And I saw more like a constructed ship, like almost like similar to like what would be on Firefly, something like that, but not that same exact shape, but just similar to that type of craft.
Next morning you woke up, you were like, holy shit, some crazy shit.
No,
just
it didn't
happened,
dawn on me
or-
when I started getting to practice and I started playing soccer again and doing certain practice stuff that like heavy motor skill type things, and realizing like, oh shit, like I'm not even being phased, like nothing's bothering me. Like to where before it would, or basketball to where.
Did you
before
ever
it's just
tell
like that
anybody at the
stretch.
time?
Not at that moment. I don't think I ever said anything till I got a lot older. Till I was probably around people smoking
I'm still,
weed.
hang
and
on a
kinda
second. I'm
getting
just
little more
confused for a
stoned.
second. So this happens. You go into this spacecraft. You wake up the next day. You have no recollection of it, and then years later, you realize your brain's healed. And
Not
you do-
years later. No, that I went to
Days.
classes.
Okay, so days
I
later
went to my
even.
practice
okay, so days later, you
second-
realize your brain's healed, and
Yeah.
you're like, "How the fuck did my brain heal? I must got abducted by a UFO and aliens healed me." That's what your conclusion was.
Hold on. I can't. Woo.
You know what you said last time you were here? You're like, we lose a lot of things.
You do. You do. And I just did.
You almost lost the whole blood.
I know I did, and luckily I put it out in my finger before it burned. But
Cannabis
no,
sauce.
it came up to me, and dawned on me that way just because like it kind of almost.
Like, when did you realize that
It kind of
you were abducted by an alien spacecraft?
So I feel like when I realized that I didn't have that issue anymore, that what I saw actually really happened. That's when I started believing like, oh shit, that actually really did happen. Like I didn't just imagine it, or it wasn't something that I hallucinated or like saw. No, I saw these lights come in. I saw the ship land.
Were you
and
scared?
And I remember I sat up in my bed kind of excited, like, oh shit, am I really seeing this? Like, is this for real? And then I just woke up the next morning. So I was like,
You know what's crazy?
I know this is a dumb question and it's silly, but was your butthole sore?
not that I remember. So I don't know.
Because I do hear that they like to probe your butts.
A lot of healing goes on through the butt.
That's probably how they healed you.
But no, I mean, honestly, that was my only thing I could attest it to. It's just like it's like what I saw had to have been real at that point, because it's like, or else I feel like that. How would that just go away in a day?
Do you
See,
know-
and then it was weird. I ended up having this one piece of gem or rock that I could never figure out what it was, that one of my friends' moms from Maine gave me last time I went to visit. She said she found it in this trail. I was holding it a lot with my bare hands. I meant to bring it back with me. And when I came, like, I had set it under the seat in my car, and then when I came, like, back to look for it again when I needed to pull it out, it was gone. So it was like somebody had to take it or something. But
You mean like the aliens, or just
I don't
stole
know,
it?
dude. But after that rock, after I touched that rock and stuff, I tested for fucking crazy amounts of like uranium, gadolinium, thallium, heavy metals all through my body, just tons of fucking heavy metals. So I was like, I have no idea, dude. And I still don't know, because I could still never get that rock to see what it was. But she said she had brought it to certain rock people who are rock, like into rocks, and none of them could figure out what it was. So
No-
it could have been something.
No offense,
not
I
man-made.
thought you were gonna tell me this fucking awesome story. You're on the spaceship and describing the aliens.
Like,
and
No,
straight up.
I wish,
all
but
this
here's my
crazy
thing.
shit.
Here's my thing. I've never been able to get hypnotized.
Can I just just
do
throw
know I
this
have a-
out there just really quick, just really fast? You don't think possibly, just maybe. So by 14, you had 3 very significant fucking head injuries.
Yeah.
You don't think that maybe you just saw these crazy lights and then just, I don't know, maybe passed
think
out,
so.
woke up, and then coincidentally your brain healed?
I don't think so, because then it would have
Definitely
meant
not as cool.
that would have meant, but that also would have meant it's a medical marvel. It healed in a day. I mean, it would have been all healed
the
up
body
in a day.
is pretty spectacular
one
and
day. I'm
impressive,
just
but I
like-
mean,
I don't know about that.
how far
But
from?
I'm also coming from a point like I don't.
How
know,
far from the third brain injury to the UFO experience?
Not far at all. probably like within like 2-3 days.
Okay. Okay.
But, like it took me, I'd say 2 weeks to like for swelling to go down, my eye to somewhat heal up, and then right like 2-3 days after that, started having those issues playing sports again, and then like the next day it's like gone.
You know how like when they take sharks out of the ocean and they put a tag on them, they kind of track them, their weight, and like where they'll migrate to and things like that. Do you think they're possibly tracking and following you still? Do you ever have those kinds of thoughts or worries?
I never thought about it until now. But
I was gonna be all freaked out.
Bang!